How's it going, guys? Welcome to another episode of Nuance. Today I want to add a little conversational nuance to your life. I don't have a specific topic. I'm working on a number of things, but they're not all quite ready yet. So I was like, what am I going to do today? Because I kind of wanted to keep a video on Nuance every day, at least for the first 10 days or so. And I was actually having a conversation with some people I disagree with. And we were trying to understand each other. In China, you'd say liaojie. Liaojie means to actually understand one another. And so I was trying to liaojie where they were coming from, understand where they were coming from. And I came to realize that, you know, we are all informed by our lives. And we are all different. So your experience, whoever's watching this, your experience informed the ideas that you have, the thoughts, and the reasons you came up with those thoughts. They can steer you left, they can steer you right, they can steer you towards progressive, they can steer you towards all different sorts of ideologies. And I started thinking beyond that, to like the people I disagree with and where those ideas came from, where, you know, Nuance is all about understanding the minutiae of every episode. I'll try to throw in a word that is rarely used but I really like. And minutiae is a good one. Anyways, to understand the minutiae of people's thoughts. And if you can't understand the minutiae, then you create a problem where you don't allow somebody, like, you don't allow yourself to wear that other person's shoes, and then how are you ever going to come to some sort of a understanding with each other? Well, you're not, you know, unless you can understand the lives of those other people. And then I started thinking about the people that I disagree with. You know, I grew up in Detroit. My dad was, you know, very hardworking tradesman and a plumber. Like, we owned a family business, plumbing business. I remember when I was young, my dad would bring me on jobs when my arm was yay big around. Teenager, not even a teenager. I think I was a young. I was preteen, and he'd bring me on jobs, and child labor, Dad. My dad's not alive anymore, but he would have me stick my arm down toilets. I remember I stuck my hand down a sewer to get a girl's wedding ring. He called me. He's like, Matt, I need your very specific skills. I need you to come and rescue this woman's wedding ring. And I'll tell you what, when I rescued that woman's wedding ring, it didn't matter that my hand was covered in poo. She was happy. It kind of mattered that my hand was covered in poo. Anyways. So my life is informed by my interactions with my dad and his work ethic and his thoughts on life and his idea that empathy is the key to people coming together. My mom, on the other hand, she had a heart of gold, still does. My mom's still around. And so her life informed me in the way of compassion and utmost unshakable love in the face of almost anything, insurmountable. Show love. And but then I went a little deeper, and this topic actually, the reason I wanted to make this video specifically was because I was thinking about my daughter Eva. My daughter's 5. Going on 5. She's not 5 yet. She'll be 5 in July. And I was thinking about things that informed my life, little things or big things, all sorts of things that made me who I am. And they won't exist for her. And I'm thinking about because the way that I understand my channel in Nuance is I try to find the layers between, black and white to try to shed some light on a topic, to give you more context or something. Recently, the topics have been focused on China, but I feel like this channel could go the long road and give you the minutia of all sorts of different topics on all sorts of different countries and all sorts of different cultures and politics and things like this. It just so happens that I'm starring it the way I am. So I was thinking about things that I experienced as my childhood that my daughter will not. And I'd like this to sort of be a community episode. I'd like you guys to help me with this one. I'll start it off, but I would like the comment section for you guys to share some things that were typical when you grew up, but will become atypical, if not non-existent, to your kids. For example, I grew up with rabbit ears on our television. You'd adjust the rabbit ears of the television, and if you got them just right, a channel would come in. Now, this is kind of a funny thing because it is interesting. It informs a person's sexuality, and when you inform somebody's sexuality, it's very important to a person's growth. When I was young, the closest I could get to seeing a woman was stealing my sister's like Sears catalogs. Sears was a big store, like a mall almost, and it had a lingerie section. I used to leaf through the lingerie section. So, when I was like 9 or 10 or 11 or 12, right when I was starting to curious about that stuff. As it progressed on, I used to go to the TV in a den in my house, and they had rabbit ears, and you could tune into a station called Cinemax. And if you could tune into the station and you'd tune it just the right way, the little black and white fuzz, that because we didn't pay for that station, but it would come in through the rabbit ears of our television, the antennas. You could get those fuzz to line up just so that you might capture a boob. Was that a boob? I think that was a boob. That was a boob. And I mean, it's kind of a funny, this is just an intro into the topic, but it's kind of funny to think about how that was pushing the limits back then. I'm 41 years old, and so that was about 20 to 30 years ago. And so that was pushing the envelope of sexuality. That was me breaking the rules in order to try to catch a glimpse of the opposite sex in some sort of a risque way. I mean, black pixels fuzzing out on a screen was just enough to satiate my youthful excitement, exuberance. Today, kids that grow up in the current world we live in, they're going to have access. They have all the access to the most raunchy and exotic and crazy material. Whether you try to watch their behavior, I don't think it's something that we can prevent kids from getting into to a certain extent. Obviously, we can control somewhat. We can instill morals in our kids. We can try to make sure that as these kids grow up, they know what they should and shouldn't be looking at and things like this. But there's going to come a time where they're going to want to inform themselves on certain things, and they're not going to have to tweak rabbit ears of televisions on a certain time during the evening on their old TV in order to get Cinemax to come in just perfectly so they can catch a glimpse of some ambiguous shape, which just might be something to get them excited. So I was thinking about like those sorts of things, There was also, in my house, we had a record player. I don't think people have record players much anymore. At their house, vinyl kind of had a little bit of a resurgence, but it's not quite as popular as it once was. It's certainly not as popular as when I was a kid. My mom had a record collection, and one of the things we used to do is we used to take tell me if you guys know what this is. It was a piece of paper that you cut out, and it had slots in it. And then on the other side of the paper, it had a picture of a horse. and it had a picture of a horse galloping in a sequence. And you wrapped it around as a cone, and you put it on the center of the record player, and you played the record. Now, as the record player started to speed up, you'd look through those slots, and you'd see slice of slice, 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 and it got up to a certain speed, and pretty soon your eyes were capturing only those moments where the slits were lining up with the horse in those specific frames, and it created basically a TikTok video. Like the original TikTok video was a short repeating pattern of pictures working together to make a video. Now, I did that. That was before YouTube. That was before TikTok. That was before digital video. That was before you could take a video on a phone. That was before you had a phone that could make a call on a, that was before all of those things. All of those things, Eva will never have the understanding. She might see one of these things as a novelty, but I literally played with those things because I was interested, one, but another, I had no choice. That was what we did. And so Eva's not going to grow up with the more tactile things that I used to enjoy playing with, that, I don't know, encouraged my passion for art, encouraged my creativity, all of these different things that I thought were so important to me today. She's going to have to find that in different ways. How is that going to create a situation where she's going to have to find the nuance in things using the tools of today instead of being informed by the tools that I grew up with? I mean, it seems like a small thing, right? Just a cone on a record player, but it's all the other things that go along with it. The smell of the freshly cut lawn, the fact that we had one of those big old stereos with the knobs on it, the fact that we couldn't just flip on an iPad and lose ourselves in a digital world. We had to live in the moment. I mean, here's another thing. Silence. I mean, I'm trying to be broad here because these are my topics, and I know that there's certainly people with less attachment to the digital world than a lot of people today. I mean, I'm a YouTuber, so I'm on the digital world quite a lot, but how many people feel comfortable in absolute silence for long periods of time? I mean, that used to be everybody, because we used to be disconnected from, well, we used to be connected to the world and not connected to the internet, not connected to our phones, not connected to social media. There was none of those things. And so I think that was actually quite healthy. In some ways, I feel like this connected world we live in actually disconnects us from the now, the actual tangible world. And how many people, if they don't have their phone or their watch, feel it? If you forget your phone at the house and you have no way to check the time or check social media or anything like that, the apprehension, the little bit of queasiness, the fear. I was thinking about the fact that when I was young, I could leave the house. I'd say, hey, my best friend at the time was Aaron. Mom, I'm going to go see Aaron. We're going to play down the street. Okay, honey, take it easy. I would leave, and I was gone. I was gone from my mom's life for a little while. There was no way that she could have found me. Well, she knew where I was going, but there was no way that she could have connected with me. There was no way that she could have reached out if she wanted to find out where I was, to bring me back, to inform me about dinner ready or whatever. And there's a certain liberated feeling with regards to that. And today you can't even find that kind of feeling because, well, unless you leave your phone behind. But now most parents are like, you take your watch that connects to me, or take your phone that connects to me. And what does that do for people? How does that change? Do you think that does change? Do you think that changes the minutia of the way that we are made up as human beings? I'm very curious to hear from you guys. Do you think that that alone can change a person. Do you think that we are fundamentally changed from, do you think that my kids are going to be fundamentally changed from my life, or your kids will be fundamentally changed from your life, specifically because of that reason? And I'm very curious. So this is more of a sharing episode, you know? I was just thinking about the whole idea of nuance is being able to understand the smaller factors that separate a topic or separate an opinion, or that can add to an opinion. And I think a lot that a lot of the topics, or a lot of the ways that I interpret a topic, are interpreted from my life and the things that I've experienced. And I started thinking, you know, there's people that are going to grow up and they will never be able to replicate the life that I lived, even rudimentary ways, you know, because there simply won't be that sort of lifestyle that I grew up in, because the world's advanced so much. I mean, think about the power of all forms of information at your fingertips at any moment in time. When I grew up, if you wanted to find the answer to a question, you went to a library. You actually had to go and hunt for the solution. And until you found that solution, you had to make it up as you went. You had to kind of use intuition, and you had to fake it till you made it, you know, in a lot of cases. And today, you don't have to retain as much information. You don't got to keep as much information in your brain, because you know you have the whole world in this little square. But I grew up without this little square to inform me of the things in the world. So I had to make sure that if I knew something, at least I kept it in this brain for a while if I thought it was important. If I didn't think it was important or frivolous, I let it go. But I wonder what my daughter will be thinking about when she's about my age. What will she need to keep in her head? I'm sure I keep a lot more of that frivolous stuff in my head, because a lot of the more concrete stuff I can say, well, I'll just look it up. You know, are we becoming dumber? Are we becoming more of a vessel for information instead of a library for information? Do you know what I mean? Sort of like having a phone with not much memory on it, because you don't need to store all those pictures on your phone anymore. The pictures are up in the cloud. You see what I'm saying? So the information that we need, it's not that important that we keep it in our brains, because we have an ability to grab that information anytime we want. Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Thank you, right?
对.
I have seen your video on YouTube.
Yeah, 加油马特.
Yeah, 加油马特. You're from Detroit, right?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Jialong.
Jialong. Nice to meet you. Hi.
Albert.
Yeah.
I graduated from Michigan State, so.
No way.
Yeah.
加油. That's awesome.
Yes.
When did you come back?
2 years ago.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
See ya.
See you later. Anyways, that's a nice, you know what, that'll be a nice little wrap up for us. What do you think? What do you think about the fact that our kids are, or your kids, or if you're a kid, if you're a kid watching this and you're in your teens, think about your kids and the differences that they're going to have. But let's use a comment section as a little bit of a fun tool on this episode. If you think that there is something that your kids will never be able to experience that you found fairly common in your life, list it below. And also write in a bit on how that might change the perception of that child, of your child. How will that infer or change their life in some way? Without the ability to freely reference information like we all did way back 30 years ago, how did that make our lives different? I think we valued information a little bit more, because we knew it was hard to keep. It was hard to find, you know? Now it's so easy that maybe we don't value it as much. But on the flip side, we have access to so much more so quickly. So there's a balancing act there. I don't know. You know, I like the idea of having this channel because it allows me to kind of go a little bit deeper on some of these kind of, what would this word be? Philosophical? Maybe philosophical ideas and thoughts. But yeah, what do you think? What are some things that a generation ago we had no problem experiencing, but today and in the future generations no one will even understand or appreciate? And how will that lack of appreciation and understanding improve or degrade future generations? Philosophical. Thanks guys, hope you're doing well. I have some interesting episodes coming up. I just wanted to kind of like free flow it. So take it easy guys. Jayo, we'll catch you in the next one. Catch me on social media, join my Patreon on my Jayo. I think my Patreon I'm gonna link together with my other channel, so the Jayo channel and this channel will both share the same Patreon. Whatever the case, I hope you enjoyed it. We are gaining subscribers. Welcome everybody. If anybody is new here and has never seen my videos on Jayo, please tell me in the comment section, because I would really like to know. I'm very curious who might find this channel for the first time. So if you are here for the first time, welcome, and we'll catch you in the next one.